Could we have your attention? The sign-in book will be brought around to your tables so you can sign them there. So there's no need to queue up at the door. Could you please take your seats, please?
No, we're gonna mention it. I can't see.
Good evening. I would like to welcome the Mayor, all members, and our guests to the Old Town Hall, Stratford, for the Budget Council meeting. I would like to welcome the members of the public and press who are physically attending or watching on YouTube. I would like to welcome the members of the public and press who are physically attending or watching on YouTube. The meeting is being filmed for broadcast on YouTube. The cameras are mainly focused on councillors and others making contributions. With regards to the meeting etiquette, at previous council meetings, involuntarily we have had interruptions from the public gallery in attendance. I would like to take this opportunity to remind the public that to enable the council to conduct its business, if there are any interruptions at today's meeting, I will ask the individual or individuals to stop and give a warning. If this continues, I will give a second and final warning. Should the disruption continue, I will ask security to remove the person or groups from the council chamber and will adjourn the meeting. Members of council, please can I ask that you indicate when you wish to speak by raising your physical hand. If you are invited to speak, please use the microphones or the lantern in the middle, or the lectern in the middle of the floor, if one has been provided, or walk to the nearest microphones, stand on your left right-hand side, and stand close to it when talking. Please do not move the microphones when speaking and do not approach the dais. Please can I ask members and officers to introduce themselves when speaking. I would like to ask that everyone turns their mobile phones to silent mode. We are not expecting a fire drill this evening, so if the alarm sounds, please remain calm and follow the instructions of the Town Hall staff. Management of the business. Please note, as chair, I have agreed to reorder the agenda as follows. Agenda items 1 to 7, 10 appointments, item 12 urgent business, then 8 and 9, 11 and 13. Item 1. I am now moving to item 1, apologies of absence. I have received apologies for absence for this evening's meeting from Councillor Saeed Bashir. This is Councillor Keeling. You're here, is he? You're here, okay. Councillor Keeling is here, and Councillor Khan. Apologies have also been received from the Interim Chief Executive, Colin Hansel. Conrad Hall, Corporate Director of Resources, will deputise. Apologies. Are there any apologies for absence from councillors to be recorded? Yes, Councillor. Yeah, could you give the name of the council? And Councillor Sharda? Zubair? Zubair, yeah, of course. Councillor Sharda? Councillor Chowdhury. Are there any more? Thank you very much indeed. I am now moving to item 2, declarations of interest, page number 7 on your agenda. Are there any members wishing to declare any disclosable pecuniary interests or any other interests that may have in any matter which is to be considered at this meeting? Members of the last meeting held on the 16th of January 2023.
Sorry, Chair, I had my hand up. I don't think you saw it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see it.
Since the last meeting when we all declared the union membership that we had, I've since been cajoled by some colleagues into joining Unison. So that's just, it's not on my register of interest yet, so I'd like to declare it now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'll start again on this paragraph. Meetings at the last meeting held 16th of January 2023 declared their personal interest in membership of a recognized trade union. Therefore, I'm suggesting that there is no need for members to do so again. Item number 3. I move as a correct record the minutes of the last meeting held on the 16th of January 2023, outlined on pages 90 to 28 of the published agenda. Do I have a seconder, please? You may carry on.
It doesn't have my name as being present at the meeting, last meeting, if that could be rectified, because I was present. So, in the present section, I need it corrected.
Could you speak into the mic, please?
I'm saying the minute omits my presence at the last meeting, and I think people remember me quite well and being in attendance. So could we have this corrected, please?
Yeah, we don't quite understand. What page are you looking at?
I'm looking at page 9.
Page 9.
Agenda item 3.
Yeah.
The pink paper.
Okay, just a minute, please.
Sorry, what's the correction you're asking for?
My name has been omitted on the presence in the sections where it talks about attendance of being present.
Okay.
Oh, right, okay. You can correct that.
So
Yeah.
effectively, I'm absent when I wasn't.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Could that be corrected and agreed by this council, please? Thank you.
Yeah, it will be corrected, yes. Thank you. Did I hear? Yes, Councillor Wilson. Not recorded?
Yeah, we'll correct that as well.
Okay.
Apologies.
Okay. Right. Do I have a seconder, please? Councillor Patel, thank you. Is that agreed? Thank you very much indeed. Item number 4. Moving to item number 4, announcements by the chair. Earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. On behalf of everyone at the Council and in Newham, we would like to express our sorrow at the loss of life, injury, destruction, and displacement caused by the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Condolences. Father Marco Lopez, I wish to pass on Council's condolences to the friends and family of Father Marcus Lopez, who died suddenly on the 31st of January. Father Marco led the Luso-Hispanic missions, serving Portuguese and Spanish communities in the London borough of Newham. He became vicar at St. Martin's, Plaistow last year, having previously served as curate at Holy Trinity in East Ham. Betty Boothroyd. We noted today that Betty Boothroyd, the first female Speaker of the House of Commons, has died on Holocaust Memorial Day at City Hall. On the 7th of February, the British Bangladeshi Graduates Award ceremony in Manor Park, where apart from myself, other councillors also attended. On the 9th of February, a welcome dinner to meet the new chair of the Royal Tigers Sports Club ahead of its launch in Newham. On the 11th of February, the London Mayors Association 121st actually, annual dinner in central London. And on the 13th of February, the grand opening of Ultimate Accounting in Forest Gate. The mayor and other councillors also were present at that event. And on the 17th of February, a fundraising event for the victims of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. And we want to thank the councillors who were involved in arranging that event, which I thought was well attended and very successful indeed. Moving to item 5, announced by the Mayor, Roxana Fiaz. Do you have an announcement, Mayor? Yeah, you have 10 minutes for announcements.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much, Chair. Colleagues, I firstly wanted to echo the words of the Chair of Council relating to the incredibly sad news of the death of Baroness Betty Boothroyd, who passed away earlier today. As many of you know, particularly my female colleagues who are part of this political sisterhood, she was at the forefront of a generation of women that smashed glass ceilings, which regretfully, despite all of the smashing away, still hampers and holds back women, not only in this country, not only in politics, but around the world. So I join both the Chair of Council and colleagues in this chamber today to convey my deepest of condolences to her beloved family and friends. Colleagues, also last week we marked the first anniversary of the brutal attack on Ukraine, 12 months of death, destruction and lives disrupted, with 5 million Ukrainians now exiled. To all Ukrainians, we say we stand together with you in remembrance, in solidarity, in unity, as you continue to fight for your freedom. Moving on to the theme of today's full council, my administration's building a Fairer Newham Budget for the 2023-24 year. It's the first green budget in the history of this council. And I want to place on record my thanks, especially to Councillor Zulfikar Ali, my Cabinet Member for Finance and Resources, for all of his hard work, working alongside all of my colleagues in the Cabinet and wider executive to make this budget a reality. And of course, none of this would have been achieved without the expert input and handling of Conrad Hall, our Section 151 officer, and Andrew Ward, who is with us this evening, our Deputy Section 151 officer. And regretfully, Colin Ansell, who is not with us today, but he's done a stellar effort in working and mobilising all of the corporate directors and officers across all of the services in order to ensure that we present to you tonight a robust budget plan for the coming financial year that is absolutely anchored in our endeavour towards building a fairer Newham. I wanted to again thank the executive members of the Cabinet and all officers for the considerable efforts that have spanned many months and all of the efforts that they have made in bringing together a balanced budget, not only balanced in monetary terms, but in terms of the objectives that we have set ourselves in meeting the most important needs of the borough and the most important needs of our populations in the short term, but actually how it will also contribute to the medium and longer term financial health of the council. It is right that we meet our current demands for our residents most in need with more investment in housing, health and adult social care in response to population demands that are placing significant pressures on our services in those areas, and in line with ongoing commitments for those young people with special educational needs. The resource and growth that we're putting in education to ensure that young people, regardless of whatever their circumstances, are supported fairly and well. And it's also a budget that invests in growth, not only growth in response to population demand, but also growth as it relates to the future economy that is emerging, not only in Newham, not only in London, but in the UK and across the globe. And it's growth of that kind that we're investing in that will ensure that we provide a sustainability for our borough as a place to live in, as a place to be inspired by, and as a place where you can thrive and grow. The budget setting for 2023 to 24 comes amidst one of the most challenging of financial times, not only the cost of living crisis and an environment that's been constrained by the COVID-19 pandemic, but it also comes as a response to the constraints of 12 years of absolute devastating austerity. Our country is at its knees, and it's councils like Newham Council under this administration that has been working hard to support our residents and protect vital frontline services, because we know that in Newham, our residents and our businesses are hit disproportionately. That has seen service demands in areas like housing and adult social care rise extremely, whilst government funding is diminishing, and the population of Newham is growing faster than any other area in London. Up and down the country, UK councils have been making difficult decisions, but with the strong fiscal position we have sought to manage well over the last 4 years, because let's not forget, I came in on the basis of an administration that would clean up the council, and that includes its financial underpinnings. We are hardwired to deliver on promises that we've made to our residents through our Building a Fairer Newham delivery plan. We were elected on a Fairer Newham manifesto, and our manifesto is our words. It is our bond, and even if it is difficult, we will work hard to deliver it, because the priorities of our residents are our priorities. We will not let down our communities that we serve. We will invest in our borough now and in the future. And whilst the government has decimated local government funding, we rise stronger for our residents. The cost of living crisis means that the pressures on council services is higher than ever before. The 40-year inflation high we saw at the end of last year means that the cost of delivering those services is at an unprecedented level as well. Your council faces the same inflationary pressures that we all feel in our lives, but we will stand behind every person in our communities at all times. Being in power carries the burden of responsibility, and we will carry our residents with us at all times. This administration is not in the business of managing decline. It's not what we do. Where the government has failed, this council, the council that I lead, the council that is led by some of the most excellent public servants in this country that make up the cabinet, that make up the wider executive, that make up councillors that serve and whose purpose is to serve its people here in Newham. They are stepping up because we all want to stand for our people by delivering what our residents want at a time when they need us the most. And that's why our budget is tackling inequality with a strong focus on the cost of living crisis and supporting residents with the challenges of the current financial demands. It's why we are tackling the environmental impacts head-on with the delivery of a green budget and setting out our vision for net zero by 2045. It's also why we are tackling our housing shortage and investing an additional £9 million in increasing our supply of new housing for homeless families in the borough. And it is why we are investing more in tackling those issues that make people feel proud and safe in their communities by providing cleaner, greener and safer streets across Newham. Most importantly, we are tackling head-on the dire position this Conservative government has put us in and ensuring we don't let our residents down with financial and well-being support to our residents most in need against the backdrop of escalating failures. It's the reason why we stand proud when we say we are Newham. And our quest is working both alongside and for our residents. And it's never been as important as it is right now. Our robust plans will ensure we make every pound go further to maintain critical services, but also to invest in areas to support our Building a Fairer Newham plans for the borough and for our people. Our focus will be to keep our streets clean, build houses our people can afford, promote sustainable travel and unlock opportunities for jobs in the creative industries and in the technology sector. We will also continue our investments in education and young people and support our elderly so that they are supported to age well. As mentioned, it's also our first budget that adopts green budgeting methods to help accelerate the Council's climate action and climate agenda goals so that we can achieve net zero by 2045. In the year ahead, we will see initiatives such as our Newham Sparks programme grow, which will embed a vibrant data sector in Newham to create new jobs of the future and offer opportunities for learning and skills that will help Newham residents navigate the future world of work. It will also transform how our residents engage with their council, ensuring they receive a first-class service that they rightfully should expect. At the moment, going back to Newham Sparks, in particular, a growth investment piece of just over £1 million into the Newham Sparks data campus over at East Ham Town Hall. I wanted to just set out a vision and a purpose behind that. Presently, Newham's local economy benefits from just under £24 million of gross value added from the UK data sector. Our research collaboration last year with the Global Institute of Prosperity, based at University College London, and now based in Newham, showed and highlighted that if our borough capitalises on all the opportunities of this burgeoning data sector in the UK, the potential benefit to Newham could be around £100 million by 2035, with an additional 5,500 high-value, high-skilled, high-income jobs. And so in sum, we are protecting all those important areas of growth so that we can future-proof this borough. And tonight, you'll be hearing more during the budget debate to come from my Cabinet Lead for Finance and Resources, Councillor Zulfikar Ali, from members here from the Council, including Cabinet members and commissioners and Deputy Cabinet members. Colleagues, see yourselves as change makers, because change makers are who we are. And change makers don't fear challenges or crises. They remain strong and focused. That's why here in Newham, with you at the council, and all kinds of organisations here in our borough, we are demonstrating how we are change makers every day and every week for our people and for the borough, Newham, which is an amazing place, because we want our people to be treated fairly and we want to enable them to thrive. Thank you very much, Chair.
I am now moving to item 6, announcement by the Acting Interim Chief Executive. Chair, sorry. I invite Conrad Hall, in the Interim Chief Executive absence, to make an announcement.
Thank you, Chair. I have two staffing announcements for Council. Firstly, I'd just like to advise Council that Nick Sharp, Newham's Fraud Manager, last week was a winner at the National Public Sector Counter-Fraud Leadership Award for 2023. And I would also like to announce that Newham's first Director of Climate Action, Jake Heitland, started in post also last week. Thank you.
I am now moving to item 7, updates on Cabinet members, Deputy Cabinet members or commissioners. Any updates? Thank you. I'm now moving to item 10, appointments. Are there any appointments to announce? Mayor Fiaz.
No, Chair.
Thank you. Chief Whip. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. You said you got nothing to do.
Could I ask the Chief Whip whether there's any appointments in relation to the Standards Advisory Committee?
Chair, no one's brought anything to my attention about any changes because we had done that at the previous meetings. Unless if there's any changes, then it needs to be brought to.
Okay. I understand that the term of office for a couple of the independent persons on the Standards Advisory Committee is coming to an end, and therefore there's a suggestion that the term of office for both Christina Azer and Paul Tur be extended to the annual council meeting.
Chair, just to correct myself, it's just been brought to my attention that there is some changes to the Standard Advisory Committee. So the terms of office for the following independent person on the Standards Advisory Committee appointed under the Localism Act be extended as set out below. We have Christina Asare. Forgive myself if I've corrected that incorrectly. So it's Christina Asare to extend to the annual council meeting of 2023, and Paul Tour to extend his tenure to annual council meeting 2023 as well. Can I move this proposal?
Seconded.
Anyone seconding?
Councillor Lewis Godfrey, you seconded? Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Okay. Is there any urgent business? Any urgent business, Chief Whip? Councillor, yes, good, okay.
Brought an emergency motion to council, if it's okay to go ahead.
Carry on.
Colleagues, my name's Steve Brayshaw. I'm the councillor for Royal Docks, Royal Victoria Ward. Newham Council believes London City Airport causes significant noise pollution for Newham's residents, especially in the Royal Docks. London City Airport adds toxic air pollution in a borough that has already declared a climate emergency.
Sorry, forgive me, Councillor.
Sorry.
Can we just wait for certain members of the planning committee to leave?
Oh.
Thank you.
Understood.
Forgive me. Thank you.
This is going on.
You may carry on, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Again, Steve Brayshaw, Royal Victoria Ward. I'd like to propose a motion with a slight amendment, if I may, Chair. Newham Council believes that London City Airport causes significant noise pollution for Newham's residents, especially those in the Royal Docks. London City Airport adds toxic air pollution in a borough that has already declared a climate emergency, and that the plans for the to extend the flight times on Saturdays will inevitably lead to more flights from London City Airport over the weekends, preventing residents from getting any respite. Only a Labour government will deliver on cleaner alternatives to short haul, and that includes getting on with building HS2. I raised in the July 22 full council meeting that London City Airport allowing further flights on Saturday afternoons would mean an unacceptable loss of quiet time for our residents and visitors to the docks. The construction of London City Airport was originally approved by the Conservative government under Nicholas Ridley in the late 1980s, despite objections by Labour councillors at Newham Council at the time. Mayor Roxana Fiaz has raised concerns about the impact of London City Airport extending its flights to include Saturdays on the quality of life and the health of Newham residents. Of the 5,000 residents consulted so far on extending Saturday flight times, 70% are opposed to supporting any increases. The Green Party, at almost every level, is opposed to the most viable alternative to short-haul flights, HS2. Their only MP, Caroline Lucas, is opposed to HS2. Their former leader, Jonathan Bartley, referred to it as an act of ecocide. Their co-leader in the London Assembly, Caroline Russell, referred to HS2 as carbon greed and supported protests against its construction. And Cyan Berry, the other co-leader of the Green London Assembly group, opposes HS2 on the grounds that it is too fast. I ask that Newham Council therefore resolve for the lead member to write to the Secretary of State for Transport, the Right Honourable Mark Harper, and lobby the government to reject any application to extend Saturday flight times for London City Airport. So in summary, I say to Council, no to further noise, no to further pollution, no for our residents having to keep their windows closed, no to export expansion, and no to any further planes. Our Newham Labour Mayor and our Newham Labour councillors are on the side of our residents and always have been, while others may come and go. Last year, we declared a climate emergency, and the Labour Party in Newham stand with our residents in opposing this unnecessary expansion, and I urge all members to support this motion. Thank you.
Is there a seconder to the motion? Okay.
Councillor Caroline Adajaria, Victoria, I would like to formally second the motion, and I will propose that we move straight to the vote.
Just 1 minute, please. Are you through, Councillor?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Councillor Higgins, you have an amendment. Okay.
Oh God, this is quite low, isn't it? One sec. Thank you, Chair. I would actually like to speak on the motion itself, but just on point 5 under council notes. There's quite a lot of inaccuracies in this point, which is something that I would have hoped that the monitoring officer might have been able to rule that point out of order for. The first thing is that Caroline Russell has never referred to HS2 as carbon greed. The quote that that's referring to is something that protesters had said and that she had tweeted that they had said, but it's not her words. They're also not co-leaders of the Assembly group. I don't know if this actually matters, but I feel like council should get it right in terms of what it's passing, rather than just in a clumsy attempt to create division and attack one side, that we put through something that's literally not true. I don't know what the monitoring officer's view is on whether council can vote for something that is factually inaccurate, and that I'm aware is factually inaccurate. If the monitoring officer's view is that would be a decision for councillors to make, I would move to remove that clause from the motion.
Thank you.
There's no evidence that it's factually incorrect, apart from what you were saying?
Sorry, I didn't hear what you said.
There's no evidence to presume that it's factually incorrect, apart from what you just said.
I mean, the evidence of who the leader of the Green Group is on the Assembly will be on the website. The motion has been proposed as it's set out. Mm-hmm. If you want to make an amendment in relation to that, it's open to you to do so. Yeah, I'm happy to move to remove that. I just thought that council should hear that point is actually factually untrue.
Okay, well, the motion has been accepted as a valid motion at the moment, so, okay. But you're free to amend it in any way you think appropriate.
Okay. Okay, as a speech in favour of an amendment to remove point 5 under council notes. This motion was handed to Green Group about 3 minutes before council started today, or before we had to head up here today. And when I saw it, I actually got quite happy, because I oppose City Airport. We, from the Green Group office room at Dockside, we can see the flights going all day when we're there, and I feel like swearing every time I see them. I'm a committed opponent of City Airport, and will continue to oppose it, and I'm thankful that this motion is here. What I don't understand is why, when there is such unity in this room on opposing City Airport, that a councillor has chosen to create division. You hear me almost every month up here talking about the things that we agree on in this room, and I'm going to keep doing that, and it's a shame that that isn't the spirit of this motion, because both the Labour Party and the Green Party in Newham are committed opponents to the airport. I also think it creates a false narrative that City Airport can close now, no matter what happens with HS2. We don't need HS2 to close City Airport, and I think that that gives succor to the people who say, well, actually, we need City Airport to say that we need HS2. I'm not going to make an argument for or against HS2 because I just don't think it's relevant to this motion, but I think the clumsy attempt to attack one party is undermining the point of this motion. So I'd urge, you've heard what I've said about it being factually untrue. Caroline Russell didn't say what she's been accused of saying in this motion. We don't have co-leaders on the Assembly group. You could vote for the amendment just because it's removing something that's factually untrue, but I'd also urge you to vote for it because I think it undermines what is otherwise a positive step forward in opposing City Airport, which we can all agree on.
Do we have a seconder to the amendment? Yeah, Councillor, sorry. Formally move? Just 1 minute, please. Formally seconded the motion. Just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Councillor Keeling, do you wish to speak on as seconding the amendment? You don't want to speak. Thank you very much. Yes, Councillor McAlmont, what do you want to say? Yeah. Well, we do have an amendment, so we have to hear them. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Now, I'm going to ask you to vote on the amendment, okay?
Anybody wants to speak in the debate?
Okay.
First of all, we should proceed to the debate. Is there any members who want to speak as part of the debate?
No.
No, just debate generally.
Councillor Ruiz, for the record.
Councillor Sarah Ruiz speaking, not only as a ward member for Custom House, which is blighted by the City Airport, but also as somebody who has sat on the London City Airport Consultative Committee for the last 4 years. There was very often disagreement at the City Airport Consultative meeting because most people who were on there were from other boroughs that were probably affected, but not as greatly as we were. The only time I can ever remember there being absolutely full consensus was when the airport suggested that they were going to take away the free time that is so precious to the people who live in that area. From 12:30 on a Saturday to 12:30 on a Sunday, it was the only time that residents could sit in their garden in the summer. I genuinely don't believe that the City Airport, none of whom, of course, who live anywhere near the airport, fully understand just how much that 24 hours meant to the local residents. I cannot believe that there is anybody who would support that part of their planning application. And so therefore I support Councillor Brayshaw's motion.
Councillor Asser.
Thank you, Chair. I shall be brief, but really to back up what Councillor Ruiz said, because like her, I was on the City Airport Consultative Committee. There was a community in the area before the airport was built, and it's obviously a very different area now to the one 35 years ago when the airport opened, and much growth in community and residents living there. My ward borders the airport and is affected by the noise by it and the interactions with it, and I'm a resident in nearby as well. I think the important thing that's always been remembered by people who were there before and since is living by an airport is not easy. There comes with compromises, and if you move in, you accept it's there. But the people who lived there before had a quid pro quo with the airport to be a good neighbour, and the key part of that was that 24-hour respite that they got in flying time. The eating into that, even to those people who are very supportive of the airport, is just a step too far. And this isn't anything I haven't said to the airport privately, anything I haven't said to them publicly or on the consultative committee. But it does make a difference and is just universally unpopular with residents around there and will make a significant and tangible difference to their lives. It is really important if the airport wants to be a good neighbour. And frankly, we've always been consistent in saying that the airport did not need to expand further. Their existing conditions, as I understand it, give them room to manoeuvre as it is. This seems to me looking to eat into time that is good for the residents because it is a lucrative slot rather than a necessary slot. And so I agree entirely with Councillor Brayshaw's motion, and I think it will matter and will be welcomed by those wards in the neighbourhood of the airport, including mine of Beckton.
Any other contributions on the amendment? No? Anyone in favour of the amendment?
Sorry, Chair. We just need to take a vote on the amendment, first of all, in the name of Councillor Higgins, as seconded by Councillor Healy. Can we take a vote on that, first of all? Those in favour? Those against? Okay, so that's lost. Councillor Brasher, you have a right to reply before we move to the substantive motion.
Thank you, Chair, and I will be brief. Residents who live near London City Airport are always being put out by the noise, by having to stop conversations while noisy aircraft take over. And we found that the City Airport's consultation documentation that went online didn't give people an option of saying, no, we don't want any flights, any new flights. It only gave people the option of choosing which type of noisy planes they wanted at certain times of the day. I hope that all councillors can support this motion. I think it's important for the residents of Newham and of the Royal Docks. I would take issue with the statement about Caroline Russell and what she tweeted, because I've got the tweet in front of me from 9:20 on the 1st of February, and it certainly states that calling attention to HS2's carbon clean. So I feel that the motion is quite correct in that. Now, if you...
Okay. Could you not interrupt the speaker, please? Okay. Carry on, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. It's important for Newham's residents that we vote for this motion to stop City Airport's unnecessary expansion. And I hope all members vote for the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move to the vote, and this is a vote on the substantial motion. Okay, so those in favour of the... Sorry? All right, those in favour of the motion, please indicate. Please show your hands. Thank you. Those against? None against. That is carried. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. Right, yeah. Just waiting for Councillor Griffith to take his seat. Okay, back to the agenda. I am now moving to item number 8, approval of members' allowances outlined on pages 29 to 58 on your agenda. Right. I now call upon the Mayor, Roxana Fears, to move the report.
Thank you very much, Chair. I'm just going to move it as published.
Seconder for the report. Do you want to make a contribution? Thank you very much. Open to the debate. Does anyone want to speak on motion 8? No one wants to speak? Anyone against? Okay, could we then move to the vote? Those in favor, please show. And those against? Any abstentions? I have to announce that Councillor Charteris actually seconded the motion. Thank you. So that is carried. Thank you very much indeed. Sorry.
Luke Charters seconded the motion. Did you say Rita Chadder? Oh, I think it came across as...
There's a little bit of explanation that we needed. I did say Luke, Councillor Charteris second the motion. It was mistaken for another name, but that's now cleared up. Thank you very much indeed. I am now moving to item number 9, building a fairer 2023-2024 budget. Second report outlined from page 59 on the published agenda. Members should refer to the procedure note attached as an appendix to the then order paper, which sets out the process of dealing with this matter. The procedure is as follows. Building a Fairer Newham Budget 2023 to 2024. Councillor Zulfikar Ali moves the recommendation from Cabinet. Councillor has 5 minutes to speak.
Can I move a procedural motion, please, if you permit me?
Sorry?
Do I have your permission to speak?
Say again? You want to speak?
So I want...
Well, I think you don't hold the mic, just speak into the mic, because if you hold the mic, it muffles the speech.
Okay, I wish to move clause 33.3 for suspension of the council procedural rules 18 to allow for the mover of the budget motion to speak for 20 minutes.
Do we have a seconder? Councillor Ruiz, thank you. Those in favor? Thank you. Those against? There's one against. Councillor Higgins votes against. Two against. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah. Could we move to the debate, please? Yeah. Sorry, is your colleague, is he okay? No, is he okay? Oh, right, okay, thank you. I've been informed that I misrepresenting the councillors' name. I should have said them rather than he. So I do apologize for that. And I think that's what's affected him, is it? It's them. That's yes, so my apologies to him for misquoting. Okay. For them, sorry. Thank you very much. Councillor Zulfa Ali to move the recommendations. Thank you. 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
Councillor Ali, just before you speak, forgive me, but just so members are aware, the procedure that we're going to follow is set out at page 15, just for members' attention.
Chair, Mayor, councillors, officers, residents in the public gallery here, and those watching at home on YouTube, good evening to you all. We are here today to consider the Council's budget plans for the financial year 2023-24. We know there are tough choices, but we also know that we can get through this together. This budget is a result of 6 to 8 months hard work of the Mayor, the Cabinet, the councillors, scrutiny, and our brilliant officers across the Council, led by our interim chief executive, and of course, our section 151 officer, Conrad Hall, and his deputy, Andrew Vaughan. And this is also part of the 2 months engagement with our residents that we went through after the draft budget was published in December. We all know, Chair, that this year has been unprecedented as we face many uncertainties led by the national economic and cost of living crisis. The challenges we face are many and significant, and we have taken it upon us as this administration to take full responsibility and recognize the needs of our community. If I may say, Chair, this is a budget that delivers our corporate priorities. This is a budget that delivers our commitment for building a fairer Newham for all. And I'm also pleased to say, Chair, that this budget delivers on our commitment of our first ever green budget. Colleagues, this is also a budget that takes into account the feedback through the residents' engagement process, which, as I said earlier, went on for a couple of months. We are one of the most diverse boroughs in England. We are proud of our diversity and have an excellent track record of community cohesion, living together and supporting each other at the difficult times. And I'm sure you all agree with me, the COVID pandemic was a great testimony showing how our communities help each other despite suffering the most disproportionate impact by this deadly pandemic. We are also one of the youngest population in England, and these young people are our future, and we have a duty to create conditions which meet their future aspirations and offer them the opportunity that they deserve to thrive. Chair, the Council handles a total of approximately 1.5 billion of public money each year. This puts a great responsibility on us all as elected members to ensure every penny of public money is spent wisely, maximizing the financial impact on our residents. And in this context, I am pleased to say, Chair, that since 2018, this administration has put in a number of internal control mechanisms to ensure that we do precisely that. Colleagues, as I said already, this has been an unprecedented year, and there have been many challenges, not only that we have faced, but the Council across the country have faced, thanks to the disastrous ruling of the current government of this nation. We have had 13 years of austerities, cuts, mismanagement, incompetent, which is making poor people even poorer. I am not surprised, and I am sure you won't be either, because the policies of this government is to make rich the richer on the expense of the poor. If you look at this financial year, we had seen 3 prime ministers, and if I'm not wrong, 4 chancellors. A nation that once ruled the world is now become a laughingstock across the world. Chair, 2/3 of our funding, nearly £240 million, comes from the government. And this government has failed to recognize that our needs are important. If the government funding is still being worked upon in a formula which runs the data from 2011, our population at the time was 308,000. Now it's 350,000, 51,000. Is that a fair way to distribute public funds? Of course not. In real terms, we have had 60% reduction in government funding since 2010. And if we actually work out how much that could have been today, we could be talking about millions of pounds that we should be getting, which we are not. Demand for our services has increased, especially for children and adult social care. And we have a duty to make sure that we look after our children and young people. Our population has gone up, yet the government grant is still on the basis of adult care data, which is totally unacceptable. We have 14% increase in population. We have not been fully reimbursed through the COVID cost. We are facing the worst cost of living crisis, and that is affecting our poor residents. We have the highest inflation in 40 years, and this is running into double figures. Can you imagine the impact that is having on the cost of services that we deliver? We rely on private sector for accommodation, for meeting our needs. There's been a 47% reduction in private market. Inevitably, that's impacting on our housing service. Despite our continued efforts, we're still classified as an outer London borough when our needs and problems are inner London. Frankly, we need to change the government. We need to bring in a government that recognizes local needs, have an economic policy that brings back prosperity that our people and our country needs. Having said that, this Labour administration is committed to serving the needs of its residents. Our focus has been on savings and efficiencies that have been least impact on service delivery, and we are focusing on growth, which continues to build our building Fairer Newham for all, and it covers our manifesto commitment. Despite the challenges that I highlighted already earlier, we do have vulnerable residents in our community, and we have a duty towards them. And this administration is not only protecting services, we are investing in future. We're investing in our manifesto commitment. The proposed budget, building a Fairer Newham, plans to invest £60 million during the next financial year. And my colleagues from the Cabinet and executives will go through some of the details later on. We have also identified £19 million savings, and these are the savings which are not expected to have any significant impact on the service delivery. We are going through this through transformation, through efficiency, through looking at ways of doing things differently. We are investing £27 million in inflationary pressures. Can you imagine? The cost of living has had a massive impact, as well as the double-figure inflation. £18 million of the budget is simply to keep pace with the increased demand in services due to increased number of households in the borough. We're putting £10 million in building Fairer Newham through service improvements. There's £2.6 million in street cleansing, waste management, parks, and environmental areas. We are retaining our flagship Eat for Free scheme, putting £6 million a year. And that is saving £500 per child, per family, per year. You may have heard the London Mayor has announced that he is going to commit Eat for Free for all London boroughs. But we have been doing this for many years. And I hope that the refund or reimbursement of our costs that will come through will give us a further opportunity to look at what more we can do with that money. But we are committed to retaining those. Homelessness is a national crisis. And Newham has been affected badly, like any other authorities. And this, again, is a failure of this government to tackle the homelessness across the nation. But we have a program in place to invest next year to tackle those issues. We have accelerated our acquisition program. My colleague Shaban Mohammed will probably talk later on that. We are looking at preventing homelessness. We're looking at other ways to ensure that we support our residents so that they don't become homeless. They deserve support, they deserve respect, they deserve dignity. And as I said earlier, Chair, the budget is based on engagement of our residents. We went out for 2 months, we listened to people, and I'd like to give you a few examples to demonstrate that we are a listening council, and people said they need this, and this budget exactly says we've done it. Just to give you an example, Chair, social care. Our residents want the council budget to help residents to live healthily and care for people with disability, mental health, and support for the carers. Councillors, this is a key area of where support is needed, and I'm pleased to say that residents' concerns have been noted, and we are investing £3.2 million in adult social care services to meet the needs of our changing population. We are still continuing with our London Living Wage policy, and that is supporting carers who are paid properly for the work they do, and 70% plus, I think, live in Newham. With regard to children's services, our residents raise some issues because they want to see more resources in supporting children and young people to grow up and learn in Newham. They are interested in council keeping free school meals and youth services and need for growing special needs children. Well, as you can see, in this budget, we are proposing to invest more in this service area. 4 million budgetary growth for children's social care services so that they continue to meet growing demand. 3.8 million investment in family hubs to provide a wrap-up support for families. I'm sure my colleague will talk a bit more on that. 0.6 million for special needs children so that we can support them. And this is in addition to 1.2 million investment that we made in the previous year. With regard to antisocial behavior and enforcement, this is another issue that residents have raised. And again, this budget reflects on the feedback we have received from the residents. £69 million, a long-term capital investment for active and sustainable transport projects, installing 1,000 electric charging vehicle points. There's 0.8 million growth for street cleansing and waste management collection services. I already mentioned 2.6 earlier, but this is separated slightly here. There are additional resources to improve services to children, play areas, parks, and enabling the council to achieve more green flag for our borough. Again, antisocial behavior, community safety, out of our service, those were the issues. And we're putting £1 million of investment in that area so that we can deliver an enforcement service that is appropriate, relevant, and timely, and meets the needs of the residents to address the concerns. Additional investment into licensing and regulatory services. This will give us more capacity to grow services that we're providing. Again, on food safety, there's some investment, and we're putting in £1 million in CCTV for the public safety aspect. We have already committed to 1.6 billion neighborhood funds from the SIL fund to invest in grassroots projects, which residents have already been bringing, and they have led to a sense of community spirit, a civic pride in our borough. And again, on housing and environment, residents have suggested some physical infrastructure and the balancing need for new homes and green spaces. As I said earlier, the proposed budget includes our plans for long-term investment of 2 billion in housing, including 1,500 for new, generally affordable social rent homes, and large-scale transformation, regeneration projects. And you have seen, as part of the report, the work that is already in place for Carpenter Estate, Custom House, and Canning Town. And clearly, we have an affordable homes program that is still ongoing. We are continuing to lead as a London Living wage employer. We're campaigning for additional resources for our needs to ensure that we can support our residents' welfare, the renters' right, and generally affordable homes. As I said earlier, we're investing in the Council's climate change team to help achieve our carbon zero targets for the Council's operation by 2030 and the carbon net zero by 2045. I'm delighted, Chair, that the budget demonstrates that we have listened to our residents and rightly given the priority to what they have said. I would also like to thank Councillor McElmon, Chair, and the Budget Working Party for their due diligence in terms of ensuring that the budget process has been as effective as contributory, and we have a commitment to make sure that there is greater transparency, clarity, and constructive engagement to enable proper scrutiny and improvements of the administration's policies throughout the year. We agreed a protocol earlier this year to ensure that improvements in the process can be made in future. The work that has been undertaken so far, it's been tremendous, and I'm grateful to the Budget Working Party and Councillor McElmon for the recommendations that they made, and I hope that you have noted the executive response. Budget Working Party made 9 recommendations, and as you will see, most of these have been agreed by the executive, and where there is no agreement, there is an explanation as to what needs to be done in future to make sure that those concerns are noted as part of the future process. It is important that we maintain this good working relationship and that there is a timely, appropriate, and constructive engagement, which is something that we are committed to do. Chair, part of the budget proposal is to increase council tax. Again, this is something the government announced as part of its local government financial settlement back in December. They've legislated that the councils, like us, can increase council tax by 4.99%, and that includes 2% for adult social care precept. This is something that we haven't taken an easy decision, but clearly the government hasn't given us any choice at all. Had we not taken that into account, they would have penalized us in future. So what this proposed impact on is for £1.09 for an average Band D property in Newham, and most of the properties in Newham are Band D. And this will still keep us as one of the lowest council tax authority in East London and indeed in London. If I remember correctly, I've seen the figures, and I think we'll be the second lowest in East London, and we still retain our 6th or 7th position across London. But we are conscious of the impact of the cost of living crisis, and we know that our residents are suffering disproportionately, so we are retaining our council tax reduction scheme. And that scheme, Chair, benefits all those people who are eligible for up to 90% discount on the council tax. So the impact on those with the council tax reduction scheme will only be 11p per week. And that is something that we are committed to continue, and we are doing that as part of this budget. Similarly, Chair, the government has again legislated to enable the councils to raise the housing rents by 7%. This equates to £8.71 per week for an average 3-bedroom property. This is below inflation, which safeguards the provision of the services to tenants and allows the necessary investment and improvements that we have. We have a massive £250 million capital program, Chair, which is there to ensure that we comply with the latest building regulations. We carry on improvement works to our 16,000 properties. We improve energy efficiencies. We look at health and safety improvement. We do lift renewals. We still build people's kitchens and bathrooms as needed. That is a big program that's ongoing. Chair, in terms of general fund reserves, and I think most of you are aware, and I have said it previously, that the fact that we had to reduce our general fund reserves is purely because this government failed to reimburse us with the costs that we have incurred in terms of tackling the COVID pandemic. So we had to reduce those costs through general fund provision. What we are committed to do is to add £3 million every year as part of the medium-term financial strategy until we reach the 15% threshold, which is the recommended level by the Chartered Institute of Public Finance. But this year, Chair, since the draft budget, it is now proposed that we increase the reserves by 4 million. So effectively speaking, we have 7.1 million reserves, which will be on 31st of March 23. For the next financial year, we'll add another 4 million, which will be £11.1 million reserves. And that is something that we continue to do. And in addition, we have made some further additions of £6 million for contingencies. Who knew that we are going to have COVID? Who knew that we're going to have the cost of living crisis? So we do need to make provisions. So there is provision within contingencies and general fund reserves to make sure that we are able to deliver the services that we have promised our residents that we will. This budget also includes, Chair, Newham Spark. And I'm sure, I think Mayor has already said few words and highlighted. But this is not just a fancy term. It is lighting, in my view, a further spark in delivering our commitments to our residents through transformation. And since this administration took over the council running in 2018, we have made some fundamental transformation in services. Just to remind you, that prior to this, we had Smarter Newham program, which delivered 1.3 million saving across the organization. We had Future Newham, which delivered 1.9 efficiencies and savings. And this is about investing in long-term digital transformation. This contributes to our climate change agenda, and this is creating a data campus and data center, in my view, perhaps bringing Silicon Valley to Newham. Well, we've got to be ambitious, don't we? Thank you. So this program has various links with our manifesto commitments. It will provide a channel shift, will use data for service planning, will improve access to our services, will improve our procurement mechanism to make sure that we procure services based on real information, real data that delivers us efficiency. It will reduce manual working, reduce rework, and lead to more efficiency, Chair. And this is our contribution to future generation because we want to make sure that these people get the best training, best development, best opportunities, and best jobs. In terms of capital, Chair, I don't know how long I've got left, but in terms of capital program...
Councillor Ali, could you conclude, please? You've gone over the time.
I'll be very quick, Chair, in that case. We've got 1.5 billion capital program over the next 10 years, Chair, and that covers a lot of new projects. 16 new projects being added. We added 256 million to include those, and some of my colleagues, I'm sure, will talk about. We have an HRA business plan. Again, this is a major step in the right direction to make sure that we invest in our housing stock, to improve the quality of the facilities that we provide to our 16,000 people who live in those 16,000 properties. Chair and councillors, colleagues, I'm pleased to say that the administration is honouring its commitment to serve our people. The proposed Building Fairer Newham budget and the green budget is solid, sound, prudent, and a balanced budget.
Could you conclude, please, Councillor Ali? Thank you.
I am actually, Section 551 officer's report is in the report. Here, his opinion is that this is a balanced and a legal budget. So our budget today continue our record of providing good services in a cost-effective manner. Despite many challenges we continue to face, we are protecting our services, supporting our communities, investing ambitiously in the future, and I recommend this budget to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You were well over the time, Councillor Ali. Is there Councillor Gastup to second?
Thank you, Chair and fellow members. It gives me great pleasure to second this forward-thinking budget today. We're going through a cost of living crisis, perhaps one of the worst many of us have experienced in our lifetime. Building a Fairer Newham Budget response to the Tory crisis, which has seen government spending in our borough reduced dramatically since 2010. Newham faces steep inflation, higher prices, and a growing population, requiring even more levels of services and support, despite the reduction in government finance. I'm pleased to see that Councillor Ali, as lead member for Finance, has presented us with a budget which contributes and continues to focus on our corporate priorities and delivering on our manifesto promises, which saw a Labour administration being overwhelmingly voted by the people of this borough. There are many things to praise in this budget, but given time constraints, I will be very brief, as I can't do justice to them all. This is a balanced budget which does not just keep things as is, but makes serious investments in our future, recognizing local needs and priorities of the people of Newham. The budget makes significant long-term investments for active and sustainable travel projects, more money to improve on green spaces and play areas, investing in our community safety services, continuing to support our young people through our children's social services, our family hubs and SEND, and significant long-term investments to building 1,500 genuinely affordable social rent homes. And this is despite when the New Homes bonus grant from the government has been significantly cut. This is a budget that puts climate goals and environment at the very heart of it, delivering on our commitment to climate emergency and air quality. Building a Fairer Newham, as the budget calls itself, is not just a word, a gimmick. As colleagues will have seen, this budget includes so many things. It continues asking us to become a council that is all the time campaigning to be a London living wage, as we are, being the first in the field, to campaign against misogyny and hate, to support residents, to improve welfare, and to continue to support a renter's rights. Despite a small, modest increase in council tax, we remain one of the lowest in London. In fact, I think in the bottom 6 or 7 out of 32 boroughs. Despite that, this council will continue to support those who are on low income through our tax reduction scheme, which will allow some residents who are eligible to claim up to 90% support on their council tax. This is a budget that continues this administration's drive to build a Fairer Newham, and I would like to formally second this to full council. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. Before we proceed, I would like to make a statement, and this is it. During the course of my chairing the meeting this evening, I mistakenly spoke out of turn, which upset Councillor Keeling. I want to sincerely apologize to him for doing that. It was not intention. Yeah. Right. I want to say that I sincerely apologize for speaking out of turn, so hopefully you will accept my apology, my sincere apologies. Your choice is, if you do not do that and you want to take it further, well, you're entitled to do that. But once again, I want to say I'm awfully sorry for that. Well, that's fine. Okay. Thank you. Now, I have a list of members who want to speak on the budget report. And the first name that I have here on this list is Councillor McAlmont.
Chair, I rise in the name of scrutiny as a critical friend. It is the duty of Overview and Scrutiny Committee to satisfy itself that the executive budget and delivery plans are realistic, deliverable, and offer value for money. However, for reasons stated in the scrutiny response to this budget, the Commission was unable to fully satisfy itself of the executive budget. It has produced, however, a truncated report focusing on 5 areas of concern: Council's financial sustainability, resilience, housing and temporary accommodation, agency staffing, dedicated school grants, and Newham Sparks. The Council is expected to overspend its budget by 5.7 million this year, and this is only after taking 16.7 million from reserve to support its spending. In 2020-21, the Council rightly took 9 million from the General Fund Reserve to fund its response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and subsequently adopted the policy to contribute 3 million to the reserve every year until it equals 5% of net expenditure. This year, however, the executive used the 3 million contribution to fund increased staff salaries. Therefore, at the end of this year, the reserve is expected to be 7.1 million, less than half of what it should be. Our first recommendation, therefore, is that the monitoring report should clearly set out all in-year drawdowns from the reserve and their purpose. The executive has accepted this. In these difficult times, the Council must ensure that it is able to continue delivering essential services irrespective of any shocks. Having reflected on the lessons learned from the COVID pandemic and the present economic outlook, the Commission formed the view that there should be a strategic move towards increased financial resilience and stability, and made a second and third recommendation to that effect. This fiscal prudent view is supported by one of the UK leading accountancy firm, Grant Thornton, whose extracts can be read in the budget response. Temporary accommodation. The largest area of overspend is the temporary accommodation, where the Council is expected to overspend by 5.65 million this year. This is largely due to the limited supply and high cost of housing in Newham, and also, we believe, the decision not to fully utilize the Victoria Street accommodations. To address temporary accommodation pressures, the budget proposes 10 million in additional funding to the service area, which includes funding, delivery, and a new homelessness response program.
Could you conclude, Councillor McAlmont, please?
Due to capacity and capability risk to the program, Overview and Scrutiny, fourth recommendation is that smart plans for it and its expected outcomes be produced and shared with Overview and Scrutiny Committee, which recently resolved to set up a task and finish group to review temporary accommodation overspending. Chair, and can you allow me to finish the agency staffing and the Newham sparks. I note, Chair, that, and I speak on behalf of scrutiny, Councillor Zofi Ali, and rightly so, had 20 minutes to propose and to present his budget to Council. As overview Chair, at least, I'm not asking for 20 minutes, but just 1 more minute or so to put scrutiny view in a transparent, Councillor Ali said, and greater scrutiny should be allowed, Chair. I'm in your hands.
Well, we have to follow the rules, Councillor McAlmont. So could you conclude your presentation, please?
In that case, Chair, I have no further comments. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is the leader of the Green Party.
Time, with thanks to a Prime Minister who cared more about cheese imports than the economy. We now have inflation at a 40-year high, with the additional hit of Russia's war in Ukraine and the restraints of Brexit. Despite this crisis, this budget does have some commendable aspects. We endorse the Eat for Free scheme for primary school children. It's time for it also to be extended to secondary school children too. The national government must step in and fund this. But until they do, we must work hard to find the money, as other councils have. Greens have long fought for a real living wage, and we applaud the commitment for Newham Council to continue leading the way. It is, however, deeply concerning that we will have a budget for a smaller pay increase than what unions will claim, setting us yet again on the path to disputes. It's hard to understand why the council would shortchange their own workers. The proposed increase in council tax and maximal increase in council house rents without increase in support is unfair and dangerous. We must introduce a 100% council tax reduction scheme to help those most in need. And we cannot support such a large hike in council rents. The additional funding for adult social care will only maintain service levels. Given that many feel that the current care is inadequate, this must be increased to protect some of the most vulnerable residents in Newham. This year marks Newham's first green budget. This is a positive move, but we have significant concerns. The action plan will cut a mere 6% of council emissions, and the over-reliance on carbon offsetting and waste incineration falls foul to what's needed in the climate emergency. We are also disappointed to see no funding for a food waste collection trial in this budget. Greens will always push for bold action and fight of climate-denying proposals such as the Silvertown Tunnel and the London City Airport expansion. It's also hard to see why vital street traders are being penalised with the above-inflation fee increases in what is already a difficult time for all. Newham must be unapologetic about the need to invest. In the current cost of living crisis and climate emergency, bold action is necessary. This budget falls short, and Greens therefore cannot support.
Thank you. Councillor John Morris. You have 3 minutes, Councillor.
Can you hear? When we look at this budget, we have to understand that it comes against a backdrop of 13 years of austerity. Successive Conservative governments have imposed ideologically motivated austerity on this country, causing immense damage to the country's social fabric. No part of government felt the impact more than local councils. So I will congratulate the hard work of council officers and the clear, determined direction of Newham Labour Group cabinet members for continuing to deliver for Newham residents despite the pressures placed upon them by central government. Building a Fairer Newham Budget takes the lessons learned from austerity, COVID-19 and the cost of living crisis to tackle the inequalities exposed by these various crises. It does this while also keeping an eye on perhaps the greatest challenge to face humanity, climate change. This is Newham Council's first green budget and will annually evaluate the environmental impact of the Council's budgeting and fiscal policies. It also fits within the themes of Labour's recently advertised 5 missions for a better Britain. Produce sustained growth, become a clean energy superpower, provide an NHS fit for the future, make our streets safer, breaks down the barriers to opportunity. With this in mind, I'd like to draw council members to 3 examples that fit within the Labour Party's 5 missions and build a fairer Newham. One of the budget's priorities is a healthier Newham and ageing well, which has an investment of £3.2 million into social care. This investment harkens back to one of the founding principles of the NHS, preventative care, elevating the pressure on the NHS and adopting a new healthcare approach that will make the NHS fit for the future through social prescribing. The pandemic also highlighted that not everyone has access to good quality green space. So I applaud the Council's £350 investment for more staff to maintain Newham's green spaces and to ensure that 10 of Newham's parks have a Green Flag award and that residents have got good quality access to fantastic green spaces, something vital for
20
a
seconds, Councillor.
healthy community. This council will also invest a whopping £69 million into active travel and sustainable transport. This investment will ensure that Newham's population are healthier, supporting the NHS by tackling physical activity that is associated with 1 in 6 deaths in the UK and is estimated to cost the UK £7.2 billion annually, including £900 million to the NHS alone. It would also support the Labour Party's 5 missions to make Britain a clean energy superpower by easing the transition away from carbon-based transport. Therefore, I endorse this budget.
Could you conclude?
And ask my fellow members to support this budget or to make a case of why we shouldn't. Thank you for your time.
Councillor Simon Rush.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, it's just fallen off. Right, apologies for that. Firstly, I welcome the 3.2 million growth in the adult social care budget. Made all the more difficult because of austerity and cuts forced upon us and all borough councils up and down the country since 2010. We have to accept it. It's not likely to improve until we have a change of government. Our population in Newham is ever changing, with us having one of the youngest populations in the country, the mean age of 32. Newham Council is also developing an ageing well strategy. It moved, sorry. Newham Council is also developing an ageing well strategy to improve the health and well-being of Newham residents of 50 and over. We have also made substantial savings in the budget around service transformation and promoting our residents' independence. As a union advocate, I'm naturally all for the continuation of our London living wage policy, currently at £11.95, raised by London City Hall last September by 8%, which gives our carers an increase of approximately £4,500 a year. The policy has many benefits. in reducing days off, recruitment of staff, and boosting staff morale. Naturally, it also helps us retain our carers. The majority of our social care workers workforce is female and traditionally been paid in the low levels by private care providers, many in the private sector earning simply the national minimum wage, currently at £9.50 an hour. Using the London living wage of £11.95 per hour will help us retain staff in this sector and help women in this work environment achieve equal pay. We are committed to the London living wage, which we will continue to roll out to our staff and make a requirement for supported living providers to pay our frontline staff the London living wage.
15 seconds, Councillor.
Thank you. The public health grant allocation for this year has yet to be announced. I believe we need to at least a grant of about 6%, the funding of an extra 6% in the coming year to at least stay where we are. I'll finish there. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Neil Wilson, please.
I think it's clear from the comments made by the two previous speakers that this council is committed to actually maintaining as far as possible, despite the central government's attacks on our social care provision and putting into the long grass yet again reforms, that we are maintaining at least the provision but also making expansion where possible. This is based, as the budget book shows throughout, on service transformation, which was highlighted at the resident engagement as a really interesting discussion, which we'll continue to have. We can only maintain our services with our increasing population, given the fact that everybody has said that we're in a stage of austerity, if we make certain that our services are transformed so that our residents receive the quality of care that they deserve and that this council is committed to delivering. My colleagues have already mentioned the importance of the workforce. The NHS has a workforce problem. The whole of adult social care and children's social care has a workforce problem. This council, because of its values of building a fairer Newham, want to maintain the provision, but also to increase the pay and conditions of staff, including those in the next rollout, so that is an area of growth. The budget also does contain elements which we're already on the journey of supported accommodation, which I think Councillor Rush referred to, so that we can actually make certain that in the budget years going ahead in this administration, we maintain but also include and increase the provision that is tailor-made and personalised. Those are easy words to say, harder to deliver when we have had a government which is not considering the real needs and has put into the long grass again social care reform. I just want the last few remaining minutes, or seconds I've now got, to say that the government mishandled, in my opinion, the public health grant allocation during a pandemic. They still haven't told this council what they're allocating. Councillor Rush argued for an increase. You can see in the budget book the very variety of programmes that this is covering, and it's important that we flag up and we continue, as I think has already been mentioned, this campaigning council, that public health grants should not be an add-on, an extra burden as it's seen by civil servants to deliver for the Treasury, but it's something that we should have so that we can actually inform our budget-making process on a more even keel. Thanks very much, Chair. I think I'm within my time limit.
Thank you very much, Councillor, for your time. Thank you. Councillor Iman Hawk.
To thank Councillor Zulfikar Ali, Cabinet Member for Finance and Resource, the Mayor, the Chief Executive, the Council, the Cabinet members, and the whole team involved in creating this amazing budget report. As a East Ham councillor, I know the issues that residents face in East Ham, High Street, and around my ward, and the whole borough. We have conducted community safety meetings recently. We have also attended East Ham police panel meetings. We have residents coming to our surgery and complaining us about crime and ASB in East Ham ward. I welcome the investment in the community safety team. The council is creating over £1 million of investment in our community safety service to keep women safe, combat anti-social behavior, including fly tipping and throwing litters on our street, improve the council out of our service to deal with all those things around community safety. I would like to thank Councillor Colleen Lee Fakoy, Cabinet Member for Crime and Community Safety, for listening to us, for listening to the residents, and for your passion and commitments towards community safety. I'm not sure if this is enough, and I'll come back to you with more questions in the future. But with all this, I have a question that with antisocial behavior and nuisance street drinking, will the investment contained in the budget making a real difference? I also welcome the move to provide 2.6 million of budget growth for improvements in street cleaning, waste collection, road maintenance, and parks. Our residents need clean streets where they feel good when they're out and about. Parks and high streets are the heart of your community. Our residents are looking for parks to be maintained well and safe for our women, children, and elderly residents. I also thank Councillor James as the Deputy Mayor and Cabinet Member for the Environment and Sustainable Transport, and welcome the budget for this. And with that, I have a question: that does the budget include creating better green spaces for our residents? The world is moving toward technology, and transformation is happening everywhere. I welcome and support the move to invest 1.2 million in pioneering Newham Spark digital and data program. This will bring employment to our residents and create opportunities for our youth and make it better for residents. I'm glad that Newham Data Campus Discovery event is taking place in my ward at East Ham Town Hall on 1st of March, day after tomorrow. It is a proud moment for all of us. This will prepare us to take data revolution in London to support local innovation, business growth, and jobs for residents in the years to come. I would like to conclude by welcoming and supporting the budget points that I've raised and thanking everyone, and mainly our residents, for being a guiding factor with your feedback and constructive criticism. I'm a proud Newham resident, I'm a proud East Ham resident, and continue to advocate for the resident in East Ham so that each and every East Ham resident are proud of living in East Ham and our borough.
Could you wind up,
we are
please?
together building a fairer Newham. Thank you.
Thank you.
Point of order from me. Under Rule 16 of subsection 1 and 9 of the Constitution, I would like to extend the meeting from 9 to 9:30.
Could you repeat, please, and stand back from the mic slightly?
Under the relevant sections of the Constitution...
just a minute, Councillor. If you step back from the mic slightly, I can hear much better. Okay.
Yeah, so under the relevant sections of the Constitution, I would like to extend the meeting from 9 to 9:30.
Thank you very much. Do we have a seconder?
Chair, we have 15 members who have requested to speak. So if that's the position, we won't be able to get through all 15, just so you are aware.
No, I'm asking to extend the time so that it doesn't finish at 9, it finishes at 9:30.
Okay, but there won't be enough time for all the speakers to speak. Are you happy with that? Yes, okay, that's fine. Take a second.
Yeah. Do we have a seconder to the motion? Thank you. Seconded. Could we, Miraj Patel, second that. Could we go to the vote on this, please? Those in favour of the extension of standing orders, could you please show? Thank you. Anyone against?
Chair, just so that there's no doubt about this, we are extending till 9:30. We must deal with the council's budget setting exercise by 30. If any matters are left at that point, then obviously they will be deferred to the next meeting. But we must move to the vote before 9:30.
Okay. Is that agreed? Thank you very much. The next speaker on my list is Councillor John Whitworth.
Well, as Commissioner for Climate Action and Air Quality, I'd like to congratulate and thank all the officers and executive colleagues who have contributed to the Council's first Green Budget in response to the climate emergency. Tackling the climate emergency involves all the areas of the Council's activity, and as such, Council action is funded through the budgets of the different directorates, most notably those of environment and sustainable transport, housing and regeneration and community wealth building. We are also reliant on contributions from various sponsors and partners for which we are continually prospecting. Carbon emission reduction is an area where technology is developing rapidly, and the Council is using an agile approach to adopting the best means of reducing carbon emissions and the most effective forms of energy generation and conservation. To establish our climate action on a sound footing, the Council has created a baseline inventory of the Council's own carbon emissions from which to trace a trajectory towards our Council's reduction targets. Similarly, we're working on a more complicated process of establishing an inventory of all the carbon emissions in the borough. Contrary to the inadequate funding from the British government, there's an increased awareness nationally and internationally that all measures must be taken to decarbonise activities throughout society in order to slow down disastrous climate change. All the areas of the Council are therefore coming closer together in a one Council approach to tackle the existential crisis of climate change. I must add one other point from a previous intervention. Councillor Keeling's reference to the action plan was unfortunately out of date, and they apparently haven't read Appendix 15. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Fairs, you're the next on the list.
Is the mic working? Thanks. I'll keep my contributions brief because I know that other colleagues would like to contribute to the debate. I wanted to just really focus on the elements of growth that are set out in this budget, specifically as mentioned in my announcements prior to the start of this budget report debate, and the £1.2 million of growth that have been allocated to our Newham Sparks programme. I think it's significant on a number of fronts. First, it is the most significant demonstration of a budget for growth as well as fairness that this council has seen in the 12 years of austerity that we have been facing. And I challenge the claims that this is a budget that isn't helping people in these hard times. The element of the Newham Sparks growth budget plans will lead to ongoing transformations of the council so that it is responsive and agile in its public service commitment and delivery for our residents in a way that ensures the money is spent well and our residents are able to interact with a council that listens and responds swiftly to their concerns. The other element of this budget for growth and for fairness is the transformation that we're going to be progressing with at the historic civic building that is East Ham Town Hall. It is a 150-year-old building, which was the heart of the municipality of that time, when Newham didn't even exist, but it was a place and a geography called East Ham, which was a stone's throw away down the road to the Royal Docks, which was at the heart of the country's industrial golden age. And fast forward 150 years on, it will renew and it will refresh as a place where some of the most innovative minds will come together, where investments will initiate some of the most transformative models and methods, and we will create jobs. And it's for this reason that across all parts of the budget, as we embrace growth and we take forward our plans for fairness, I commend this budget report to members in this chamber to support and endorse. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Godfrey.
Don't worry, Chair, I speak quite quickly. Listen, I'm a new councillor. I was elected in May, and this is the first time I've had the privilege to attend a budget meeting. It's not the first time I've read a council budget, but it's the first time I've had skin in the game, because this is our budget. This is Newham Labour's budget. And what we've put here represents us and what we believe. As I've been reading the papers, one thing struck me. When councillors pass a budget, we're not just thinking of the next day or the next week or the next month. What goes in any council budget could have a profound effect for the next 20 years. Sensible budgets always have one eye on the future as well as one eye on the present. They balance the needs of the now with needs that will come. The best budgets are sustainable, and sustainability is embedded throughout this budget. This budget gives us the tools to achieve net zero by 2045. Not only this, but that long-term £69 million investment in active and sustainable travel that this budget promises is going to transform our streets, so we're not dependent on polluting and expensive fossil fuels to get around, so our kids can breathe clean air like they deserve to. Bolstering the investment in our parks and our infrastructure, like Councillor Hack called for earlier, and which this budget provides for, means that we leave our kids a legacy of healthier and safer neighbourhoods, and Councillor Asser deserves a huge amount of credit for the work he's already done in creating a Newham that's fit for our kids to grow up in. This is a brave budget too. Over the road in Tower Hamlets, we've seen an administration that doesn't care about sustainability. In Tower Hamlets, not only has Mayor Rackman taken the cowardly decision to remove huge chunks of his sustainable infrastructure at the first sight of regressive opposition, but he's planning to squander his council's finances on populist and unsustainable policies and meaningless vanity projects. He's crumbled under the pressure of short-termist politics, and he's made sure that kids in Tower Hamlets are going to breathe polluted air, which is going to damage their lungs and damage their hearts and damage their arteries. Mayor Rackman and some other political parties like to talk the talk on climate change, but I've never seen them walk the walk. Newham Labour doesn't only walk the walk on sustainability, we pedal the bike on it, we ride the bus on it, we drive our electric car on it, and I'm happy, and cabbies in my ward are happy to see that this budget will deliver on our promise to create 1,000 new electric vehicle charging points in the borough. I'm happy that this budget will deliver the best new cycle lane in London that will span the Romford Road, and I'm happy that this budget will deliver a network of low-traffic neighbourhoods so our kids are free to walk and cycle to and from school. These policies, these progressive policies, are what you get when you have a strong and brave Labour administration in power, and I'm proud that even in the face of a Conservative government that has decimated council's finances, Newham Labour is delivering. I will proudly vote for this budget, and I urge all my colleagues to do the same.
Thank you. Councillor James Asser. Thank you very much, Councillor, for your timing on that one.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and be equally on time. and I can see the clock. So we have made lots of strong commitments, both in the manifesto and in our policies over the last few years of what we want to deliver in terms of improving our environment and the quality of life in the borough. You can't do that without underpinning it with resources and finance, and that's why we've put environmental issues at the heart and centre of this budget to make sure we can deliver on those promises. It's why we have a massive capital programme outlined in there that will deliver on our active travel agenda, delivering on new cycling projects, electric vehicle charging, low traffic neighbourhoods, healthy school streets, and our road safety agenda. It's why we've significantly put in large amounts of money, not just to improve our green spaces, to answer the council question raised by Councillor Hogg, that we will be improving them year on year, but also the resources to maintain them. We have increased our green flags from 1 to 6. We intend to increase it again this year and again next year to meet the manifesto commitment and aim to go beyond that. But you can't do that without maintaining them, so the money is in there to make sure we can. We're putting money in to make sure we can meet the growth in the borough, both in terms of what we'll need to do to street cleaning, but also collection of waste, as we grow from the 3rd to the 2nd to potentially the largest borough in London population-wise. There is money in there to change the way we do recycling in relation to large bulky furniture to meet government guidelines on improved recycling, something that will improve our situation altogether. The Keep Newham Moving budget, which was set up in 2016, remains so we can continue to improve our roads and our pavements and make sure they're safe and well maintained. Our investment commitment in play areas is in there, and we're continuing to look at new options moving forward. All of this, of course, is the resources side, but this will be underpinned by the policies and the strategies we're bringing forward. The green and water strategy we're currently consulting on with residents that will come out this year. The allotment strategy that we're talking to allotment holders on and bringing forward soon. The Beckton Parks master plan that will transform the green spaces in the south of the borough. Our 20-minute miles per hour plan for bringing across the borough, the new rollout of our cleaning, street cleaning, the new waste rounds, and our investment in terms of moving towards weekly recycling. I would like to pick up on one other thing that was raised, Councillor Keeling, in the green response, which I know had a lot of criticisms, but I've yet to see any costed alternatives that back up those criticisms. But there was a question raised about food waste pilot. Food waste collection pilot is coming. It is something we are working on. We've had meetings, Councillor Patel and myself, within the last month with the East London Waste Authority and with our partner councils in the East London Waste Authority. It is tied up in some...
20 seconds.
It is tied up in some issues with central government, which nobody will be surprised. They are messing up on a colossal scale, as they always do, but it's a manifesto commitment, and we will deliver on it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Raj Patel.
Thank you, Chair. I will keep this brief and expeditious, as I'm aware that many other members actually want to speak. And I can see the time clock as well, which is really helpful. So thank you very much. I'd like to thank the Mayor, fellow colleagues in the Cabinet, and fellow colleagues for putting this budget together. I commend it. I think building a Fairer Newham Budget is our robust financial plan for the year 2023-24, showing how we're investing in growth and making our real commitments to climate action in response to the climate emergency that we face as well. Some key things to note in terms of the environment. We are investing £240,000 for street cleaning to meet population growth, £980,000 for waste collection to meet population growth, £500,000 for new staff and vehicles to collect furniture and improve recycling. I echo my learned friend and colleague, Councillor James Asser, and his thoughts and comments around food waste management and collections as well, which is being worked on, contrary to what the Green minority member actually mentioned. This is all in progress and the cogs are turning. I'm also appreciative of the Cabinet member in charge of community and crime, Councillor Lee Parkway, who's doing a fantastic job in terms of addressing some of the fly tipping and ASB issues within my particular ward, which is Green Street East. and I look forward to further improvements in that particular area. I'll leave it there. I've got many other comments and submissions to make, but I'm conscious of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Caroline Adeja.
I welcome the extra 1 million of investment into the CCTV network in Newham. I have worked with Councillor Lee Parkway in regards to issue we had with safety. As a female resident, as an elected member, knowing well of the risk around women and girls' safety in London, the investment in the women's safety agenda, I believe it shows commitment to safety of women and girls, and to those that are vulnerable as well. So therefore, I commend the hard work of the committee itself by putting all this together. I welcome this. My question now to you will be, what is the benefit? What benefit will the resident and the local councillors see in this investment? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jennifer Bailey.
Will be pleased. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, take this as the last contributor because of time.
Thank you, Chair. The budget before us this evening is a direct response to the promises that we made to residents at the last election in May. However, I do want to add that 12 years of Tory austerity imposed on us as a council has impacted the resources available to us to deliver services to our residents. Despite this, we are still investing in services that are important to our residents. As my colleagues have stated, we are investing over £1.5 million in Community Safety Directorate. This will enable us to expand the team, resulting in a tangible, meaningful increase in the enforcement around the issues that residents have told us about. These include littering, fly tipping, antisocial behaviour caused by street drinking, just to name a few. So, colleagues, we are listening. We are reinstating the out-of-hours noise nuisance team, providing a service during the evenings and early into the hours of the morning. We are investing in our regulatory and licensing team. They will have an increase of over £480,000 to continue to provide the support and important services to our residents that they rely on day and night to safeguard their health and well-being. We are committed. This budget delivers an additional £1 million into capital, from the capital reserves, into our borough's CCTV infrastructure. We are serious about safety. Our agenda around safety for all, including violence against women and girls, is one of the top priorities of this administration. We have invested money into this budget to ensure this happens. I commend this budget to full council.
Thank you. Can I now call on Councillor Ali, the right to reply, if you so wish?
Thank you, Chair, and can I thank Councillor colleagues for their wonderful contribution, and certainly I was pleased to hear lots of endorsement and recognition of the work that has been gone on into developing this building Fairer Newham and green budget. And I heard colleagues endorsing our aging wealth strategy, our investment in adult health, adult and social care and children's services, the flagship scheme that we have with respect to London living wage, eat for free, and our investment in roads, cleaning, waste and parks. That has all been welcome. And clearly, we have a climate change action plan, and I think it would be fair to say that we have done a lot of work on that area, and climate change isn't simply just looking at an action plan on paper, but if you look at the Appendix 15, there's a great deal of details in there which tells you exactly what we're doing, what commission we are proposing, and we now have the Director of Climate Change whose priority is to make sure that we deliver on those, and we will make sure we keep the momentum on those. We have listened to the residents, and I think it's really good endorsement to hear from colleagues here that we are responding to people's needs, and we're responding swiftly as well. And it is good to acknowledge that transformation is recognized as a vehicle to drive change, and I think I really appreciate colleagues' comments on that. There is a focus on improving health and well-being, and the whole budget is building Fairer Newham as part of improving health, air quality. You heard Councillor James Esther talking about the action that we're taking within the Environment Department and sustainable transport in terms of active transport, etc. And this is something that is going to be ongoing. And I note Councillor Danny Keeling's contribution. I think I'm grateful to him for welcoming a number of suggestions and proposals within the budget. But with respect to council tax reduction scheme, clearly this is something that we have been aspiring to since 2019 to get 100% discount to people, but because of COVID and now cost of living crisis, it's been difficult. If we were to do that, we do need to cut some services. The question is, where do we cut those services? But can I say at this stage, but that cutting council tax reduction subsidy or relief isn't the only way we're supporting our residents. There are many other initiatives which the council is supporting our residents who deserve that. So I thank you for your contributions, and I'll continue to look forward to working with you all. And with those words, Chair, I once again ask you to recommend to you to pass the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Before
Hi, Chair. Just a quick point of order. We've now seen Councillor Danny Keeling misgendered again, to the point where they've now left the room because they feel unable to participate in one of the most important parts of being a councillor. I appreciate the councillor here is probably here to apologise, but I also just want to make a plea to the chair and to the monitoring officer that when this happens, we don't have to wait to the end of the speech or for me to come up to defend my colleague or for the colleague to defend themselves. You have a microphone, you have the power here to make this a safe space for trans and non-binary members. We have one now. In the future, hopefully we'll have more of them as part of this council. We passed a motion at January full council supporting trans rights because colleagues in this room do genuinely support that, but we have to show that in our actions too. And so this is just a plea from me to the monitoring officer, to the chair, that if and when mistakes are made, can they be picked up on immediately and not wait for me to have to defend it or for my colleague to have to defend it or my colleague to feel like they have to leave the room? Thank you.
Point taken. Okay.
Thank you, Chair, and I fully appreciate what's been said by my colleague there, and I do apologize. Clearly, I was just trying to rush this through, and I do apologize to Councillor, and I will personally apologize to him when he comes back. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move to the vote, we would like to bring the monitoring officer in at this point in time. Thank you.
Okay, Chair.
Quiet, please.
Chair, just for the avoidance of doubt, you are about to vote on the budget item 9, building a Fairer Newham Budget 2023 to 24. The recommendations are set out at pages 69 to 70 and have been moved by Councillor Ali and seconded.
Thank you very much indeed. I will now move to the vote. As this is a decision on the setting of the Council's budget and Council tax, a record vote must be undertaken. I will ask the Acting Chief Executive to carry out the recorded vote. When the Acting Chief Executive calls out your name, When replying to your vote, please state for, against, or absent. Can I now call on the Chief Executive to read out the names and take the vote?
Thank you, Chair. I will now proceed to call out the names of councillors present, starting with the Mayor. Then
Sorry,
Mayor
point of order. I'm very
Council.
sorry. Can we suspend proceedings for about 5 minutes while I find my colleague to see if they're okay to take part in this vote?
That, please. And Chair, if I may, I'd like to just make a statement about the events that have happened this evening and the harm and offence that has been caused.
Okay.
Colleagues, all of us really must do better. I have had to learn to do better, and I know it can be hard, but when someone asks you to respect them as a human being and as an individual and to not misgender them, we have to try really hard. As Mayor, I'd like to apologise profusely to Councillor Danny Keeling for being repeatedly misgendered during council proceedings this evening. It's been wrong, and it's caused hurt to the degree that, and I've even made a mistake. And it just demonstrates how easy it is to make a mistake, no matter how consciously hard you are trying. And for Councillor Danny Keeling, they have had to leave this room because they have been hurt and they feel harmed. And it's clear that all of us need to commit to proper training on this really important area of our inclusivity as a council and as a community. And I am deeply sorry to Councillor Keeling for the offence that has been caused to them. They deserve it to be properly addressed with their preferred pronouns. We need to ensure that all councillor colleagues are serious in their commitment to this intent and are open to learning, and we will do better. I will do better, and I can only once again just apologise. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you very much, Mayor, for that.
Members, we really must move now to the vote, please.
So, Chair, with your permission, I will now proceed and call out the names of the Mayor and councillors, starting with the Mayor, Chair and Vice Chair of Council, followed by councillors in alphabetical order of last name. So, if you would please, when your name is called, state whether you are for the budget, against or abstain. Mayor Roxana Fiaz.
For.
Councillor Winston Vaughan.
For.
Councillor Salim Patel. Councillor Caroline Adeja. Councillor Muzawa Alam. Councillor Zulfikar Ali. Councillor James Assa. Councillor Jennifer Bailey. Councillor Saeed Bashar, I think we have apologies. Yep. Councillor James Beckles. Councillor Nur Begum. Councillor Elizabeth Booker. Councillor Steve Brayshaw. Councillor Rita Chadha. Councillor Luke Charters. Councillor Ariq Chowdhury, I think we have apologies. Councillor Caroline Corbyn. Councillor Rohit Dasgupta. Councillor Sasha Dasgupta. Councillor Mariam Darwood. Councillor Anne Easter. Councillor Femi Falola. Councillor Shantu Ferdous. Councillor Mohammed Ghani. Councillor Joshua Garfield. Councillor Lewis Godfrey. Councillor John Gray, I think we have apologies. Councillor Alan Griffiths. Councillor Belgica Guana. Councillor Zuba Galamussen, I think we have apologies. Councillor Imam Haq. Councillor Nate Higgins. Councillor Dina Hussain. Councillor Lester Hudson. Councillor Animal Islam. Councillor Sabia Kamali. Councillor Danny Keeling. Councillor Mumtaz Khan, I think we have apologies. Councillor Joy Laguda. Councillor Carleen Lee Farquhar. Councillor Daniel Lee Farquhar. Councillor Jane Lofthouse. Councillor Pushpa Makwana. Councillor Susan Masters. Councillor Anthony McCormant. Councillor Jemima McCormant. Councillor Charlene McLean. Councillor Shaban Mohammed. Councillor John Morris. Councillor Thelma Adoy. Councillor Miraj Patel. Councillor Terry Paul. Councillor Ken Penton. Councillor Muzibar Rahman. Councillor Rahima Rahman. Councillor Sarah Ruiz. Councillor Simon Rush. Councillor Madeleine Sarli Pontin. Thank you. Councillor Lakmini Shah. Councillor Rachel Tripp, I think we have apologies. Councillor Amar Verdi. Councillor Harvinder Singh Verdi. Councillor Cecilia Walsh. Councillor John Whitworth. Councillor Neil Wilson. Councillor Tony Wilson. And Councillor Larisa Shulipskaya. Are there any members present whose name I have not called? Sorry, can I just check the vote for Councillor Muzaffar Alam? Not present. Yeah, my apologies. Thank you for correction.
Mariam Dawood.
Yeah. And apologies again. Can I just check Councillor Mariam Dawood? 4. Yeah. No, thank you. Okay. Can I just confer for a moment then and just check that we have the right number of votes tallied?
Thank you very much for voting on this item. I can tell you that those in favour, 53, and those against, 2. Therefore, the recommendations are carried. Before we close, I hope you permit me to read a statement in view of the situation in which we've experienced here this evening. And this is for myself. I would like to apologize profusely for misgendering Councillor Danny Keeling. It is clear I need to commit myself to proper training on this matter, and I'm deeply sorry to Councillor Keeling for not getting their pronouns right. I don't mean to cause offense, but apologize that I have indeed offended Councillor Keeling. I will do better in the future. My initial apology fell short of what this chamber expects of me, and I hope this apology, which I offer unreservedly, will go some way to making up for my errors. Councillor Keeling deserves to be properly addressed with their preferred pronouns, and I have fallen short of expected standards on this matter. For this, I sincerely apologize. And I'm delighted to see that you came back into the meeting. So this is sincerely from my heart. So I hope you will accept this apology. But still, if you need to proceed this further, I have no objections to that. So thank you very much indeed for that. I now declare the meeting closed. Thank everyone for attending and watching. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.